Morning, everyone. Nice to be with you again. Today, I'm going to continue the Bible study in Luke's Gospel. I just wanted to take a quick look today at the disciples of Jesus. And in Luke 6, we get told that Jesus says had gone up to the mountainside and he'd spent the night praying. That's in Luke 6, verse 12. It says, when morning came, he called his disciples to him and chose 12 of them, whom he designated apostles. I won't read all the names yet, but I want to pick up on that. So looking at this, I'm just amazed about how little is known about quite a few of the disciples. But here's a little phrase that's in John's Gospel, which I just want us to have in the back of our minds. This is John chapter 14, verse 6. It says, "You didn't choose me, I chose you." And I think that's at the heart of everything here. Even for us, when we become believers, we need to remember that we have the opportunity to step into faith because Jesus first chose us. We can, we do respond to that, and in that sense, we become part of the family. So we still have a choice to make, but the first choice was Jesus's choice, the Father's choice towards us. In fact, if you look at the scriptures, you realize that even before we were created in the womb, we'd been set apart for a purpose. Purpose and calling on all of our lives was to step into a relationship with God and live life out from that place of relationship with Him. He formed us, and knitted us together in our mother's womb, and He chose the time and place for us to live. And you can express so much of life without having God in your life, but the fullness of who we are and how we're to express life only comes in that union with Him. So if you can grab one thought of the day today, just remember it wasn't you made a decision to follow Christ. Yes, you did, but the fundamental part of it was that He chose you. He got hold of you. You're chosen by the living God to be part of His family. Now, in just the few minutes here that we've got, I just want to quickly look at some of the disciples and let's see if we can find out much about them. And I think the thing I've grabbed from it is just a reminder that each of these people are ordinary people who Jesus got hold of. Now, again, when I run through this list of disciples, we realize that many of them, there's very little known about them. And in fact, I was quite surprised how little is known about some of the disciples. Their names are hardly mentioned, but yeah, I think just to pick up on some of these and have a look at them just gives us a little bit more background. It fills us in about some of the, I call the color of the story. So the first people I want to mention is by Simon, and you've got his brother Andrew. And interestingly, Simon and Andrew, they've got James and John. They were they're all fishermen and they clearly work together. So four of Jesus's disciples had some sort of working relationship, if not friendship, and they were brothers. So you got two sets of brothers, they were friends, and there's the evidence that they worked together. But they're all really different characters. The first one on the list, and he's first, I think, because he stands out because of the loudness of his character. And again, I want us to get hold of in any room of people, you have the extroverts, the introverts. You have the people that will be bringing change that will impact communities, and you've got people that are quietly getting on and doing what they're made for. And I think it's really important for us to understand, and I think this is reflected in Jesus' disciples, that there's place for all of us, no matter what our personality. I think the danger of church can be that the focus becomes the people that are leading, people that are up front, but the focus is not that at all. It's about each of us living our lives, living the calling and the purpose that God has for us. So Jesus, let's just quickly run through. You've got Simon Peter, who's known as the rock. Jesus says, on this rock I'll build my church. And if ever there was an outgoing, outspoken person, it was Simon. He he was obviously someone that he got a reputation for stepping out, putting his foot in it, not necessarily getting it right, but his enthusiasm was unquestionable. And when he denied Jesus, it wasn't like that was the end and he went to some eternal sulk, but he was actually still there, ready to respond to Jesus at that moment when Jesus pulled up the fish and appeared to the disciples. And Simon Peter was the one that was rushing out and embracing his Lord and became such a significant part of the church in the New Testament church in the book of Acts and one of the key apostles. Interestingly, it appears if you read in Luke 4, verse 38 and 1 Corinthians 5, 9, verse 5, that he was married. It refers to his mother in law, and later on, it refers to him being someone that um, his wife went with him. So he brought the gospel to the Jews. The next, we find there's Andrew. Again, not a lot is known about him. He was clearly around, John the Baptist and around that sort of time. He was clearly an enthusiast, but more than that, there's not a lot known. He did appears die as a martyr. You got James and John, the sons of Zebedee. James, he was one of the inner circle. He was one of the three that got that really intimate place with Jesus and John. He was known for his intense passion, and together they were known as the Sons of Thunder. You think, wow, they probably had some life and energy about them. And John really was someone that, through his intimacy with Jesus and his love for Jesus and Jesus' love for him, he's given us in the New Testament so many bits of writing which were just about the love of God in different forms, in different ways. So yeah, there you are. That's the first four. You can see immediately there's so much. I had to write these down. There's just so many little bits and pieces. Um, so much energy. Then there was um, Philip, that possibly he was a bit of an evangelist. There's not a lot known about him. He was introduced by Nathaniel, who was another one of the disciples. Again, you know, not a lot known by about Nathaniel, but the picture that we're beginning to pick up here is that Jesus, when he chose his disciples, he didn't choose the kings and the people of influence. He chose the ordinary, the unrefined, the farmers, the fishermen. They weren't the elite of the day. And I think we just need to bear that in mind, that the qualification for salvation, the qualification to be someone that can walk intimately with God, is not a natural qualification. It doesn't mean that those that have elite places and privilege cannot be born again, but it doesn't put them ahead in the kingdom of those that have no earthly position. But we all have, when we're born again, a heavenly position, which is awesome, which is amazing. You and I have a position in the kingdom. We have a place that was set out for us to walk into. We too are disciples. Our names may not have been written in the Bible. We may not have been designated apostles as these guys were, but we have a place and a position and a place to express the gospel that's vital. Keeping going here, we got Matthew. He was a tax collector, someone that was despised. When Jesus got hold of him, there was that amazing moment when he basically offered to give everything back in generosity. We have Thomas. He was referred to as the doubter, but he was also the guy that showed a lot of courage and bravery when he thought Jesus had been led off to die. You can take the statement two ways. He either was resigned and said, "Oh, we might as well go and die too," or he was willing to keep going and to follow. And Thomas is an interesting character. I think many people can, yeah, what's the word? They can empathize with those moments of doubt. But I think we have to take the fullness of his character. He had some courage and tenacity in there. And I think it's so true for all of us. Our personalities, our characters, we're mixed people, aren't we? We'll have areas of bravery and courage and areas where we really get on with things, do things. And then we'll have areas where we're not so strong in our personality and character. It's not all or nothing. We're mixed people. So don't despise, you know, yourself if you've got areas of weakness, but embrace the areas of strength that you have in the gospel. Then you got James, son of Alphaeus. Not a lot's known about him. Simon the Zealot, probably a political activist, but again, not too much known about him. You got two Judases. You got Judas, and then finish with Judas Iscariot. You know, of course, we all know about him. Judas Iscariot. He was the one again as a disciple of Jesus. Not a lot known about him. He was known to have been given the duty of looking after the money. He was clearly the one that was stealing the money as they went along, and then he betrayed Jesus for money at the end. He had a weakness that he never dealt with, you know, a big weakness that became his focus. And I, I think it's amazing. Jesus kept him in that close circle of disciples, knowing who he was. And it's the same for us. There are people that are walking with Jesus that they blow it big time. You know, it could be someone watching here. They pick this up and you've walked with Jesus and you think you've blown it big time and there's no way back. You know, there's always way back. There's always forgiveness. Allow the love of God to be shed abroad in your heart again. You can be despised, rejected, and everything else by people, but God is always looking for a way to come and encounter you again with his love and forgiveness. That's a very, very quick run through the disciples. I didn't know any other way of doing it. And it surprised me how little is known about some of them. And then there's a focus on others. Above all, take away that whoever you are, as you walk with Jesus, it's not about profile and position. It's about being faithful in what he's given you to do and called you to do today. So pray you have a great and blessed day. Look forward to meeting some of you again soon. Bye for now.